Do you worry about what is inside your food? Rather, do you worry about the food that you feed your families being safe? 80% of conventional processed foods that you and I eat consist of GMOs. We need to be aware of genetically modified organisms in our food. What are GMOs? Well, GMOs are genetically modified organisms. We all know that term, so what does it really mean? According to the Non-GMO Project, which is a 501c3 tax-exempt organization that is interested in sustainability of non-GMO food and products, states that GMOs are living organisms whose genetic material has been artificially manipulated in a laboratory through genetic engineering. The World Health Organization defines a GMO as an organism in which the genetic material has been altered in a way that does not occur naturally. I don't know about you, but organisms that have been manipulated in a lab ultimately for the purpose of being eaten raises a red flag to me. As it does for others who are taking concern with this issue, a growing body of evidence connects GMOs with health problems, environmental damage, and violation of farmers' and consumers' rights. Not only are GMOs proving to be bad for our health, but also they are quickly putting farmers out of business. As stated again by the Non-GMO Project in the U.S., GMOs are in as much as 80% of conventional processed foods. This is a staggering fact, one that should really make you think. Most Americans eat processed food frequently, with most of their daily caloric intake coming from processed foods packed full of GMOs. So, as directed consumers, should we actually be concerned? Is the existence of GMOs really a problem? I think that many people are not aware of all the products that we commonly come in contact with that contain GMOs. Here is a list of only some of the most common GMOs, which includes soy, cotton, canola, corn, sugar, zucchini, and yellow squash, just to name a few. And a few more GMO facts for you. 85% of all the United States corn that is grown is GMO. 91% of soy that's grown in the United States is GMO. And 165 million acres of crops in the U.S. are GMO. Many industries, such as Monsanto, have made many claims that the GMO traits will allow for a higher crop yield, tolerance of droughts, and other promising consumer profit. However, as told by the Non-GMO Project, we need to remember that the GMOs are a direct extension of chemical agriculture and are developed and sold by the world's biggest chemical companies. The long-term impacts of GMOs are ultimately unknown, and once released into the environment, these novel organisms cannot be recalled. Because of all this, American citizens need to be aware of the presence of GMOs in their food supply. A way to curb the increase of GMOs in our food is to introduce massive awareness of what it is that's actually present in the food that we are consuming. The Non-GMO Project is a great resource online for furthering awareness of GMOs, and it also gives access to lists of non-GMO choices for everyday consumers. There are also other resources readily available online, another one being GMO Awareness, which teaches greatly about GMOs. There has also been research done on the effects of GMOs on rats, as discussed by Jeffrey Seifert, who is the writer and director of the film GMO OMG. The University of Caen in France conducted a 2-year study on the effects of GMOs on rats that was conclusive that constant introduction of GMOs on the rats showed severe implications on their health, which is not making it look very good for the humans. 2 years of a rat's life is equivalent to the span of a human life. And with this trial, they found in this 2 years that the male rats suffered damage to their liver and kidneys, along with their estrogen levels doubling. And the female rats had many health issues, including a great prevalence of mammary tumors. However, when this study was published, it was instantly denounced by the scientists who work for the large seed companies, such as Monsanto. If consumers stop buying products with GMOs, it will directly affect supply and demand. As the Non-GMO Project states, vote with your wallet. There are now seals on products stating that the items are non-GMO verified, and states continue to fight for their rights to know what is in their food. Connecticut became the first state to successfully pass legislation requiring that certain foods intended for human consumption, which are entirely or partially genetically engineered, be labeled to reflect the content. GMOs are hidden from us so that we don't stand up against them. If nothing is done about the prevalence of genetically modified organisms in our crops, the diversity of our crops will ultimately disappear. As discussed in GMO OMG, the diversity of seeds is dwindling because the large corporations, such as Monsanto, are making it that way. GMOs have not been around long enough to fully understand the effects that they can have on the world around them, though GMOs have been around long enough to greatly affect the amount of agricultural workers, with the amount of workers going from 58% now to only 2%. Awareness of GMO foods and products are beneficial to everyone. If you are as concerned as I am about the prevalence of GMOs in your foods, there are a few things that you can do. Write your local congressman. As the consumer, we have the power to change food labeling laws. Keep expressing that we want to know what it is that's included in the food that we eat. And like I stated before, vote with your wallet. If it doesn't sell, it won't continue to be sold. Our children and generations to come will not be able to know the diversity of the plants that even we have, which is much less than it once was before. As told by Jeffrey Seifert, the environment is directly being affected by GMOs, with now 500 species of bugs having become resistant to pesticides. Legislation can and will be created if the citizens keep insisting that this is what should happen. Spread GMO awareness.